What's up, everyone, and welcome to this latest edition, a special edition of the Pinstriped Prospects Podcast, brought to you by Velocity 5 Sports Restaurant and Bar in Sterling, Virginia. And Rob, we are nowhere near Sterling, Virginia right now, and that's because we are in Tampa, Florida, attending spring training.
We're down here for the next couple of weeks attending minor league spring training at the Yankees minor league complex on Himes Avenue. You had a chance to check out some of Major League spring training last night. Tell us what your thoughts so far.
I was going to say, I've only been here a few days. You've been here just about a week already.
Yeah.
And it's been a great experience so far. Again, as we mentioned at the top, we're here in Tampa. This is episode number 47 of the podcast. I, of course, am your host, Rob Terranova, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Robert Pimpsner. So, Rob, it's good to have you in front of the camera today.
I'm putting a little bit of double duty. I'm producing and joining you on the podcast, but alas, we are down here in Tampa having a lot of fun down here at minor league spring training and bringing you guys a lot of great coverage from minor league spring training, including photos, notes, videos, and more. And we love to hear from everyone what your thoughts on the coverage so far, what we can do better, and what you guys want to see.
Absolutely. A lot of fun, new, exciting things going on. And as we're doing fun, new, exciting things, I just want to do a shameless self-promotion here. You may notice my T-shirt. It's one of the great items we have on the Pinstripe Prospects store. It, of course, says Gleyber Mania. And let's face it, there's been a lot of Gleyber Mania this spring.
Oh, of course. A lot of hype surrounding Gleyber Torres. And, he was sent down from Major League Camp because he had a pretty bad spring in Major League Camp. He's been in minor league camp so far. He's looked good on both sides of the diamond. He had a home run and double in his first game in minor league spring training, and he looked good playing second base and shortstop in a couple of games that I've seen him in. So it's great to see him down here and great to see him healthy.
And our very own Omari Brown had a chance to talk with Gleyber just 2 days ago, and Gleyber did tell Omari that he's not really concerned with being reassigned to minor league camp, that he's excited to get his chance with the team. Maybe he was pressing a little bit, trying to recover from that injury, improve himself, especially after the spring he had last year. But he said he's got some things to work on, and he's focused on his discipline at the plate. He's focused on playing outstanding defense in the field as we expect, and that he's going to do whatever the team needs him to do, and he's ready. And he said all the right things, and we know where his talent is. We know exactly where that can go from here. His ceiling is through the roof. So just curious, what are your expectations? Where does Torres go from here?
Well, he's obviously going to start off in Scranton, and Yankees manager Aaron Boone has already said that he's pretty much going to be splitting his time between second base and shortstop while he's in Scranton. And that's pretty good for him because he's still recovering from injury. Yeah, the whole 16 days, we'll get another year, but I think for the most part he's going to be down longer than 16 days because he does have some things to work on, mostly just getting back in the rhythm. He's been 8 months away from baseball activities, so he has a lot of work he has to do to get back into that rhythm in the field and at the plate. So he's going to be up in the major leagues sooner rather than later, and it's the same with Miguel Andujar. I think he's going to be back up sooner rather than later. The demotion to the minors is not that long for either of them, and we'll see him this year, and they will contribute this year.
You mentioned Andujar, and there has been some speculation regarding Miguel Andujar because he recently played some first base in a sim game, and some people want to know, will he be asked to play first base going forward, or any chance he's asked to play some first base at the major league level?
Well, the most important thing to note is that's actually not news. Anybody that's been covering the minors for the last 3 or 4 years has seen Miguel Andujar play first base in sim games, play first base during BP. He gets his work there. He even gets work at second base. He gets work all over. It's nothing new that he had some time at first base. So it's a lot of hype over something that really wasn't news. Maybe news to some of the big league guys who don't cover the minor leagues as much.
Right.
But it's nothing new because the Yankees preach versatility in the minor leagues, and they want to have everyone be able to have a backup position where they could move them just in case. That's one of the reasons why they signed a Neil Walker or traded for a Brandon Drury, is that they play multiple positions. And Andujar is just doing the same thing in the minor leagues. And it's like I said, it's really not news.
No, it's not news. And we are taking your questions via Twitter and Facebook, so you don't have to ask that one anymore. We've covered that right here at the top. Andujar's speculation is just that, speculation. Will not be playing any first base in the near future. But let's shift gears here. A lot has gone on since the start of minor league spring training, And I guess the big news is some of the players that got released. Some surprises, some we expected. But why don't we go through that list of players who were released so far from the Yankees?
At the start of minor league spring training, there's usually a few players that do get released, and it's kind of funny that a few of them I saw the first day, and we were talking no indication that they thought they might be released. But the Yankees have released right-handed pitchers David Palladino, Simon De La Rosa, Jonathan Padilla, Woody Bryson, Josh Ryder, Darius Vargas, as well as Alex Bisacca, Tyler Hounahan, Will Jones, Mark Sealer, and Isaac Padilla. All those guys have been released from their contracts, and I know some of them will definitely be picked up elsewhere because I have heard scouts talk about some of them before, and it really just shows that the Yankee system is so deep that some of these guys were playing in a short season last year when they should have been in like high A.
Right.
And so they were playing down because the Yankee system was so deep. So they finally released a few of these guys, and they'll have a chance to get picked up somewhere else. I know it's kind of late in the game, but I'm sure even if they go to an indie league team for a month or two, they'll find another assignment.
A few of these guys did ask for their release for that reason. They just saw a block in front of them, and they said, I'm not going to be able to reach my ceiling here, so just let me go somewhere else. And the Yankees honored some of those requests. And just to clarify, Alex Bisacca actually retired.
Yes,
Is
Alex
that right?
Bisacca actually retired. He is now living a life outside of baseball.
By the way, it's worth mentioning, I just got a glance of us here in the monitor. We are in Florida and there's sun, and we've been battling sunburn, even though it looks like we're still pasty white on the monitor.
Yeah, the light kind of washes our face out, but we are pretty red from being out in the sun all day at the minor league complex. So.
I just don't want someone watching being like, they're lying. Look at them. There's no way they're in Florida. No, we promise we're here. But let's talk about some guys that are here that have been really jumping off the page, to use a cliche here, really been jumping off the page.
Well, Tommy has something to tell you. He says your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. Tommy, of course, a regular on this podcast, but since we're streaming live from Tampa, Tommy not a part of the podcast today. So, Tommy, thank you.
Tommy, we wish you were here.
Yeah, we do. And keep those comments coming, questions, comments, anything you want answered. We're here with you until 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we're going to be here until 8.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit longer. So keep sharing, keep asking us any of your minor league questions. We'll be here for you.
So, like I said, there are a lot of guys here who are still here, who are performing well. So another question that we got leading up to this podcast, we did ask for some fan questions leading up to this, was who stood out the most? So, Rob, I'm going to toss that to you. Which prospect has stood out the most to you so far?
You know, when it comes down to it, I'm more of I lean towards pitchers than anything.
Right.
Even though he kind of got shelled the other day, Deivi Garcia looked pretty good.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of talent there. Harold Cortijo looked good. I was kind of upset I didn't get a chance to see Juan then pitch. He was battling a sickness, so he didn't pitch in the scheduled game. But I hope I do get the chance to see him pitch down here. But the guy I really liked this year so far is Luis Medina.
Okay, I was going to ask you about Luis Medina. A lot of anticipation leading up to his spring debut. What did he show you?
I mean, he just looked incredible. Like 98, 99, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. At 18 years old, this kid is just incredible to watch. And, you know, you've got the chance to watch him. He gave up one home run, and that's because it was on 99 mile per hour fastball, and it was just a lucky hit. And if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have been out of the ballpark.
Right, he supplied the power for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy just got the barrel of the bat, and the power was there already, so it just flew. Yeah, I did have a chance to see that home run, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I think he hung it, and it got a little bit too much of the middle of the plate, and the power was there, and it just flew out. Yeah,
like I said, he's just an incredible kid to watch, and I think he's going to be one guy everyone should keep an eye on in Lowe. I have him ticketed right now to Staten Island to start the season, but there's a good chance if he continues the way he's been pitching that he starts the season in Charleston.
Right.
And I really hope he excels this year.
And something that he definitely seems to be on track to do. Speaking of players who go to Staten Island, do you see him as a candidate for extended spring training?
Luis Medina?
Yes.
Yeah, so if he does go to Staten Island this year, more than likely he's going to stay down here for extended spring.
Before he gets to go up to Staten Island and get his headshot taken by you.
Yeah, before that. But I had a chance to talk with him briefly the other day. You know, he's a good kid. He's a young kid, only 18 years old. Has a lot of potential and a lot of his future ahead of him.
Yes, definitely. Someone we will keep an eye on. Don't forget, for not only Luis Medina updates, but every prospect update, stay closely attached to pinstripedprospects.com. Now I'm going to answer that question for myself, because I'm going to talk about a kid who I got to meet in rookie ball last year at Pulaski, and he's just been really ripping through the system so far. He finished last year in Charleston, and I would not be surprised if he starts the season in Tampa with high A. And that, of course, is Stevenson Lee. Was a draft pick last year. Really great kid, really focused kid. Off to a hot start this spring. And I watched him hit 2 just moonshots.
Yeah, I saw those 2 home runs, and they were just incredible. This kid got such amazing power and such a good presence at the plate that it's just incredible to watch. He's really advanced for a recent draft pick. This is, of course, his first minor league spring training.
Right.
And you had a chance to talk with him.
Yes, I did have a chance to talk with him. I asked him about his power stroke, his approach at the plate. He talked about slowing the game down and letting things come to him. He said in college sometimes he tried too hard to make things happen. And he said he didn't want to do that anymore. He said it's just about slowing things down, letting the game come to me instead of me trying to make something happen. He also talked about that he takes a lot of pride in his power stroke. He said, I want to be a complete hitter, but I'm a power hitter. This is exactly what he said. He goes, I'm a power hitter, man. I like the long ball. So you kind of like a little bit of confidence there, that little edge there. You like to see that. And finally, this is what really stuck out to me. I said, can we expect this to keep going? How do you sustain this? And he said, I come out here every day with a chip on my shoulder. I want to show everyone that I belong here. I want to show the Yankees that they're right for drafting me and they're right for putting me here. And I just want to keep going, and make the most out of my career. So you hear something like that, the kid's got a good head on his shoulder and he's locked in, and we wish the best for him.
Yeah, like I said, I've become a real big fan of Sensley, and I think we kind of ranked him low on our top 75 prospect list.
Absolutely.
So we might have to rethink that when it comes to re-ranking in the middle of the season. So, but
keep an eye on that.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. And if you haven't already, check out the notes from minor league spring training. We've been putting out daily notebooks, photo galleries, and videos from each day at the complex. Let us know what you think. We have a lot more video coming. We just haven't had time to do all the video editing. So a lot of that stuff will probably have to wait until after we get back from minor league spring training to finish getting it up on our YouTube channel. But if you haven't already, check out the YouTube channel and check out some of the footage we have from minor league spring training so far, as well as check out the photos on our website. We got a lot of great photos, including some of Judge in left field.
Yep, that was an outstanding game. Judge got a start in minor league spring training in left field, and that kind of speaks for itself. Aaron Judge, he really drew a big crowd. When he was done, the crowd just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny to see.
But
something a little more serious happened in that game.
Yes. In the first inning, at the end of the first inning, final out of the first inning, Oswaldo Cabrera collided with Timmy Robinson, knocking both men out for a couple minutes.
Yeah, scary sight.
It was a pretty scary sight. The whole game pretty much was halted for a good 15, 20 minutes. The Yankees had to call an ambulance down and stretcher Timmy out. And I had a chance to talk with Timmy yesterday. He's doing better. He's in good spirits. The collision took a lot out of him, so he has to get some medical tests done and get looked at by a doctor. But he is going to miss some time, unfortunately, but he will be back in action. Yes,
he will definitely miss some time. It was a very serious injury, like you said. Ambulance came to the field right away, carted off. But we hope for a speedy and full recovery for Timmy Robinson. Again, another underrated prospect in the system. And just a great guy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't be better than a guy like Timmy, but I wish him the best, and I know he's going to be making a full recovery, and I can't wait to see him out there playing again.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned pitching and how you kind of lean towards pitchers when you talk about favorite prospects. Well, one pitcher who's in his first Yankee spring training after a trade with the Marlins is Michael King.
Yeah, and we just got to see Michael the other day pitch for the Trenton Thunder work group.
Yes.
And he looked pretty good from my view. And what did you see from him?
I thought he was outstanding. So he threw against the Double-A club for Toronto. And for those of you who don't know, Toronto's Double-A club has both star prospects, Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. And these kids, I saw firsthand why they're so highly touted. They're just nasty.
Yeah.
Just to put it cut and dry, they are nasty. Vlad Jr.'s swing is a thing of beauty. And Bo Bichette just on both sides of the ball is outstanding. And he got to face Bo Bichette in the first inning, again going back to Michael King. And he pitched a 1-2-3 first inning and struck out the side, including Bo Bichette. So his start, he ended up going 3 2/3. He threw 60 pitches. That was his pitch limit, 60 pitches. Again, minor league spring training, these guys are just trying to get work in. So he reaches his, again, pitch limit of 60. He only gave up 3 hits and 1 run. That 1 run was a towering home run. But he didn't issue a single walk, and he struck out 4. So if you're a Yankee coach and you saw that, then you're definitely excited about what was there. And you like this kid's ceiling, and you like his potential.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see more of him, and I hope he does well with the Yankees. And, of course, the Yankees just have such an enormous pitching depth. They might be pitching down a level this year because, there's a lot of guys ahead of him, but I think the Yankees got a pretty good prospect there.
And we do have so much more to get to on this podcast, but before we continue, a quick word from one of our sponsors. Attention cancer victims. If you or a loved one lived, worked, or visited Lower Manhattan in the months after the 9/11 attacks and have been diagnosed with cancer, federal benefits and health care may be available. Attorney Eddie Markowitz has helped many families recover substantial benefits from the September 11 Victims Compensation Fund. The James Zadroga Health and Compensation Act has been extended, but time is limited. Attorney Markowitz is proud to serve as counsel to the Zadroga family. Let him help you too. These benefits are not just for rescue workers, but to anyone who qualifies. The fund covers many cancers, including prostate, skin, lung, and breast. Please call 1-800-LAW-HELP. Again, that is 1-800-LAW-HELP to see if you qualify. So coming back to baseball, I know our Twitter's been kind of going off, and we've got a message from our very own Matt Kardos. What did Matt have to say?
Matt wanted to know where you got the shirt.
Of course, again, so I'm gonna back up here. Shameless plug from the Pinstriped Prospects store.
Yeah, so if you go
anyone can buy this. It's not exclusive to me, I swear.
You got a lot of turning heads when you were at Steinbrenner the other day.
Yes, had a chance to check out the Big League Club. Went to George Steinbrenner Field last night. Watched them take on the Rays. Great game. Good to see all the big names take their at-bats and get their work in. Unfortunately, Adam Warren blew it in the 9th inning, but everyone else looked good and sharp. I know our good friend at first base,
Tyler Austin.
I was going to say Austin Jackson. I was like, that's not right. Tyler Austin.
Just don't confuse your Austins.
Right. Tyler Austin made a few really nice scoops at first base.
Or your Tylers.
Right. But yeah, Tyler Austin, who I know you know well. He's a good friend of yours.
Yeah, I do know Tyler pretty well.
He made some great scoops over there at first base.
Yeah.
Saved some wild pitches. Some wild throws, some E5s and E6s. But yeah, it was a great game all the way around. George, if you haven't checked it out yet, George Steinbrenner Field you feel like you're at a major league field. It's always packed. It's beautiful. To be honest, I was talking to a friend when I was waiting in line for concessions, and I said it kind of feels like you're in California. I felt like I was in like the Angel Stadium. You're just surrounded by palm trees and beautiful weather and great baseball. So definitely go check that out.
Well, that would be Florida.
Yeah, that's true. That would be Florida, our little California down here. But moving on now, because we have so much to cover in this podcast. Justice Sheffield and Chance Adams reassigned. Any surprises there?
Not really. I mean, no one expected either of them to break camp with the big league club, mostly because neither of them are on the 40-man roster, but they both need to be added to the 40-man roster after this season, along with a lot of other guys. So there's a lot of pieces there the Yankees could package in a trade if they have to.
Right.
But the Yankees, like both Sheffield and Adams, yes, Adams had a pretty bad spring, and I had a chance to watch him pitch a little bit this spring, and it just looked to me that some of his pitches were just flat.
Right.
Maybe he's not ready yet. It's early. He's never really started this early for baseball activities. He's still, you got to remember, he's converted reliever, so he's still getting used to it. Back to back minor league spring trainings.
Right.
So you just have to give him time to work on it. And he looked a little flat at the end of last year with his pitches.
He did.
I chalked that up mostly to fatigue issues, and I'm hoping that's the case here, that it's just he's not ready yet. And eventually, if he does get that stuff back, he's still going to be something special.
Definitely.
I still view him as a starter, but it's important to note that when we say starter, we don't mean a frontline starter.
Right.
Adams was never projected to be a front of the rotation guy. He was always projected to be at
3-4.
most a 3 or 4.
Yep.
He has the opportunity to be a shutdown reliever as well, an Adam Warren type if you think about it.
Right.
Which I think with the Yankees will be what he most likely will be. If he goes to another team, he'll probably definitely be in a rotation.
Oh yeah, no question.
Especially a team that has a little bit weaker major league rotation.
If he was part of that Pirates deal for Garrett Cole, he'd be a starter there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
He might even be in the big leagues if he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important to note that the Yankees' depth is just incredible. There's just so many spots.
Yeah.
And there's just so many guys the Yankees have that could be starting pitchers in the major leagues that are probably not going to have the chance to, just because look who's in that rotation now. You got Severino, Sabathia, Tanaka, Gray, and Montgomery.
Yep.
There's no other spots yet. So
great problem to have.
It is.
And
a
you
great
think about all the
problem,
talent that the Yankees traded last offseason, and they're still. I mean, the tunnel is still. It's still full. There's still a lot of blockages in the tunnel for a lot of these young guys.
Yeah, and if you look at it, a lot of the experts still rank the Yankees as either number 2 farm system in baseball,
2, 3,
or they have them in the top 6.
Yes.
They haven't really fallen a lot.
Right.
And this is because the Yankees are just churning out a lot of prospects. Now, that could change this year, because this year is the first year a lot of those 2014 international free agents are eligible.
Rule 5, yep.
Yeah, for the Rule 5 draft. And there's going to be a few guys that are minor league free agents that are pretty decent prospects. And they're going to have to make some trades.
Yep. That's true. And by the way, we were just speaking about Tyler Austin. And one of the questions that we have here is, does Tyler Austin stick or get reassigned?
It's a good question. I think the Yankees need a backup first baseman, backup corner outfielder. I think, especially with Ellsbury on the DL to start the season, I think he's going to break camp.
Okay. Well, this kind of ties in with some breaking news this afternoon. Aaron Boone tells the media that Tyler Wade has made the team. Tyler Wade, a super utility guy. Any chance he sees some time at first?
Oh, I think he'll play a little bit. I don't remember if he's played first in the minors at all.
Okay.
But I know he's played a second, third, short, and all 3 outfield positions. So I think that's just a big thing for the Yankees to have on their lineup. A lot of people ask, what does this mean for Torres? But
the Tonight Show.
And the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Torres, I believe, still has an option left, so they can
Yes.
still option him down
Yep.
if they want to, or they could trade him.
Right.
Show some depth. But a lot of us that have been coming to minors for a while know what kind of player Tyler Wade really is,
Yeah.
and how good of a prospect he is, and how good of how versatile he could be, and he does whatever the Yankees ask of him, and I think it's just a big thing for them that he is on that major league roster, because he gives them such additional flexibility, and I think he can hit really well enough to be in that lineup regularly if need be.
Absolutely. And he's a guy, like you said, he's so good. And I know we usually use the term fluke to say like someone was outstanding, but that was a fluke. He's not that good. Well, in this case, I think you use it the other way. I think his poor performance last year at the major league level, I think that was a fluke. I think that he's a lot better than those numbers showed. I think he showed it this spring. And I think that now that he has a chance, he's going to show it going into the season.
Well, I think last year a lot of things went into it. Number one was just the lack of playing time. He was used very sparingly.
Right.
He didn't have regular at-bats, and that just hurts. Show me any other guy that can do that. Hit 300 when you're batting once every, 3 weeks, essentially.
Right.
You got to let the kid play, and that's why one of the reasons I was like, why even have Tyler Wade on the roster? You're hurting him.
His development.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let him get everyday at bats. If you wanted to do that to someone, do it to a Cito Culver that was on the AAA roster last year, where you don't care if he gets DFA'd.
Yes. So another top prospect, ranked number 2 on the Pinstriped Prospects top prospect list, Estevan Florio, recently reassigned. Had a chance to see him bat with the High A club yesterday.
Yeah, he looked really good in minor league spring training. He had a
did.
double in his first at bat. Unfortunately, his next few at bats he didn't do much. And in between at bats, he went to the cage in between the fields and did some hitting drills. But he's
Right.
going to be a fun guy to watch, and I'm really excited to see him move up. And I think he'll be in Trenton sometime this year. I
Yes.
don't know if he'll be breaking camp with Trenton or not. I do not take much stock in the minor league work groups for spring training,
Right.
because most of that is just guys moving around getting their work in. And you'll see a lot if you watch minor league spring training. You'll see a guy that's on the Charleston roster pitch for the AAA team. So there's
That's
a lot
right.
of movement and a lot of moving pieces. So I don't put much faith in where they were assigned
Yes.
after they were sent down from minor league camp.
Yes, that's right. So I keep telling everyone, you're looking at the starting center fielder for the Yankees in 2020. I think he's 2 years away. I think his tools are too good not to develop and grow that quickly. I think that whatever he's been asked to do to this point, he's been working on and he's shown he's been capable of doing. Had a chance to see all 4 of his at-bats yesterday. He went 1 for 2. He went 1 for 3.
Yeah.
With a walk and 2 strikeouts. The walk you like to see, because one of the things that he's been working on is plate discipline and better pitch selection, working on that. First at bat, rips a double off the wall in center field. Then the pitchers on the other side said, we're not giving him anything to hit anymore. Second at bat, works his walk. Last 2 at bats, called out on strikes, but anyone who was watching those pitches, they were off the plate. So you're actually happy that he didn't swing at those pitches because they were off the plate.
Yeah, I agree, because I was watching those games from a slightly different angle than you were. I was
Right.
off to the side.
And in super zoom with your camera.
Yeah, and I was like, really? That's a strike?
Yeah.
But it's spring training for the umpires, too.
Right.
Especially minor league umpires, so you can't get it right all the time.
Right. Yeah, like you said, everyone is working on stuff. Everyone's trying to get their work in and improve. It's not about results right now. It's about just at-bat, seeing pitches, getting the work in. So, like you said, umpires as well. And they're minor league umpires, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to remind you folks that if you have any questions for us from minor league spring training, send them our way, and we'll be free to answer them on the podcast.
So, Rob, one name that we didn't get to that's also high on the prospect list on PinstripeProspects.com, Albert Abreu. Where do you see Albert Abreu starting this season?
I think there's a good chance he starts it back in Tampa.
Okay.
But he will be in Trenton sometime this year.
Okay.
That's without a doubt that Albert Abreu will be in Trenton at some point. But I really feel like he's going to start off in Tampa with the Tarpons. And the reason for it is he's still young, he still has some stuff to work on. But I think he's going to move relatively quickly this year. You might even see him make a major league debut in September, but you never know.
I was actually just going to say, I would not be surprised to see him get a September call-up late in the season with his stuff. I think it does translate well to the major league level. He's obviously got some little things to work on, but in my opinion, an underrated prospect and someone with, a ceiling through the roof, and another name to remember, Albert Abreu.
Yeah.
I think he's on Cashman's no-touch list.
He might be. I think he's one of the top right-handed pitchers in the organization. I mean, I personally rank him and Domingo Acevedo above Chance Adams in terms
I agree.
of right-handed pitching.
Absolutely.
But, I think when it comes down to it, if a good opportunity presents itself, you will trade him just because you don't know how long he will take to develop, and he is on the 40-man roster. But I think he's going to be a big part of the Yankees in the future.
Another household name within the Yankee farm system, Dylan Tate. Some changes for Dylan Tate this offseason, and they were apparent right away this spring. What did you see from Dylan Tate?
Well, the first thing I noticed when I was down here is that he looks bigger than he did last year.
He put on at least 10 pounds.
Yeah.
At least 10 pounds.
At least,
yeah.
But it didn't seem to affect his pitching at all.
No.
He looked really good down in spring training.
Right.
And I think
we should verify. He looks stronger. He doesn't look 10 pounds chubbier. He looks 10 pounds stronger.
It was bulk.
It was
bulked
bulk,
up really well, and he looked really good. He was dealing. I think he allowed only one run. I think it was a home. If I remember correctly, it was a home run.
It was a home run. Yep.
But aside from that, and I think that home run was given up to Cole Tucker, the Pirates' top prospect.
Yes.
So it wasn't like it was to some journeyman minor leaguer, but he just looked really good. And if you have a chance, check out the video we have of him on YouTube.
Just taking a look here at these questions flying in. Keep these questions flying in. I'm having trouble keeping up. The things just it's just going real quick. But a name that someone mentioned here, they want to know about Jonathan Loaisiga, and I hope I'm saying that right.
I believe you are.
Loaisiga.
I saw Jonathan.
Jonathan, if you're watching, let me know if I'm saying it right. Thanks.
I saw Jonathan the other day. He pitched once in minor league camp, but it was on the road. Okay. So unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to see him pitch that game. He also pitched in major league camp 1 or 2 games. But he's a guy I'm really excited about, and I saw him a lot in Staten Island last year. So did you. And he just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And it was just impressive. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, when you have a guy that's first inning of the game throwing 98 miles an hour and was sitting 94, 95, you take notice. And a lot of the scouts in attendance took notice. And I know for a fact that, there were scouts from the Rays, Pirates, etc., that were watching those games and like, wow. Yeah. And so it was kind of no surprise that he was added to the 40-man roster with relatively little professional experience. He was a guy that the Yankees signed as a minor league free agent. That's right. He was originally an international free agent by the Pirates out of Nicaragua. Yes. And, bounced around a little bit. Was released, had some injury issues. The Yankees signed him last year. He had 1 appearance in Charleston before going down with Tommy John surgery, and came back last year and was just strong. He demonstrated really good fastball and a lot of potential there. And the Yankees added him to the 40-man roster because they believe he's a guy that can help relatively quickly, and I tend to agree. No question. I'm with you. Just keeping up with these questions here. Here's another good one. Who is the most underrated hitter or pitcher in the system? That's tough. Everyone's rated pretty well. And it could be a guy we talked about already. I'm not limiting your field. Underrated hitter, I'm going to say Kyle Holder. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I've been a big fan of Kyle Holder since he was drafted.
That's a good one.
And a lot of people always go like, oh, but he's a glove first. But, I've seen him even when he was first drafted. There was something in that swing. He doesn't strike out a lot. He will work the count. He will get good wood on the ball. And he's just all around a solid hitter. He's not going to be a guy that hits for power, but he'll give you a good average. Yes. And if you look at it, last year, aside from the months he was hurt, because he was hurt in the beginning of the season, he was hitting extremely well. At one point, he was hitting over 400. That's right. For a month. And then he went out to the Arizona Fall League, did the same. And in the Major League Spring Training, he hit over 300 and kind of went under the radar. That's right. Pitcher? Let me think. Pitcher.
Okay.
I'm going to have to come back to that.
All right,
What
I'm
about you?
gonna give my pitcher.
Yeah.
And this is a name we mentioned already, and this is a guy that isn't underrated for us. If you follow PinstripeProspects.com, you know that he's pretty high on our list. But this is a name that you don't hear as an untouchable. You don't hear in a lot of trade rumors, especially last year with the Sonny Gray deal during the offseason for the Garrett Cole trade. Not a name that was brought up in a lot of trade rumors, but someone I think, again, you just alluded to this, I would rank higher than Chance Adams and possibly even Justice Sheffield. Domingo Acevedo.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ace is a stud. Everything I've seen from him, outstanding. Had a chance to see a couple of his starts in Trenton. Outstanding. When you talk to him, super nice guy, looks like a house. See, just intimidating presence. And had the chance to talk to his pitching coach last year, who said, "Oh, he was featured in the Futures game. Can't forget that. Was featured in the Futures game." And talking to his pitching coach last year, had nothing but the highest marks about him.
You know, I'm a big Acevedo fan, but I wouldn't say he's my underrated pitcher.
Well, not for us,
Not for us, but I think
in general. You
know,
talk to fans; they don't really talk about him that much.
Well, I think
like
the baseball media
Yeah.
has already picked up on Acevedo, especially like the Baseball Americas and all them.
I
But
agree.
I think when it comes down to with underratedness, I want a guy that could. I think of guys that could like be in the major leagues and help out that you don't really hear about.
Okay.
You know,
Herman?
Herman, we're hearing about more and more.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I think of more guys like Jordan Montgomery, who they were more like the top, the 20th level
Okay.
in prospect, and they just come out there and do their thing.
He didn't sneak up on us, though.
Yes, he didn't sneak
Right.
up on us, but on a lot of the fans he did. And, Acevedo is just ranked really high, and so is Abreu, so is Sheffield, so are those guys. So I can't really say those guys are the underrated ones for me.
Okay.
When it comes down to underratedness, I would pick a guy like Ronnie Garcia. Honestly.
Okay.
He's
a good
a
one.
young kid.
That's a good one.
He's still a young kid, like 19, 20 years old.
Still a wild card.
Still a wild card.
Yeah.
He ended last season in Charleston.
Okay.
I think he's a good bet to start there again this year, but split the season in Tampa as well. And he's a guy that I believe will have to be added to the 40-man roster either next year or this year. I got to double check that.
Okay.
But he's definitely a guy that I would say is a little bit underrated.
Okay. Speaking of underrated players who kind of broke out on the scene and made a big splash, blast from the past, we had a chance to see Chien-Ming Wang in camp.
Chien-Ming Wang is in camp as a special guest coach.
Instructor.
He's working with the Yankees minor league pitching prospects, working out mostly in the bullpens at Steinbrenner Field. We had a chance to see him. Everyone else actually saw him before I did.
Yes. I did a double take. He walks by me and I do a double take and I'm like, that looks like Chien-Ming Wang. And then I see number 40 on him and I was like, that's Chien-Ming Wang. And then I obviously asked you if he was here and you said, I don't know, I haven't seen him yet. And then we had confirmation. We have a great photo of him.
Yeah.
It was Chien-Ming Wang. And it's hard to believe that his rookie season with the Yankees was 2005.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
The last time I saw Chien-Ming Wang in person was 2002, but.
Yes.
But
signed in 2000.
Yes, he signed in 2000.
Yep.
He made his professional debut in 2000 with Staten Island.
Yes.
Sat out 2001 with Staten Island again in 2002, and then Trenton in 2003.
Right.
And yeah, and where he went from there.
What could have been that's 2008 season, his third professional season,
Yeah.
coming off of back-to-back 19-win seasons, hurts himself running the bases in Houston, and as they say, the rest is history. Tried to make a comeback with a few different big league clubs. Obviously, didn't work out. Made his last stop in Kansas City, and believe it or not, he's 37.
That's the part that got me. I'm like, he's only 37.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that it was only his third season that he got hurt.
Right.
And but it was great to see
in the
him
midst
back.
of another all-star ace-type season.
Yeah.
And he hurt himself.
Like I said,
Steinbrenner was livid. Remember that?
I remember that. But it was just one of those things where I was just like, really?
Yeah.
It feels so long ago.
Right.
But
2008, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nice to see a familiar face like that back in camp. and he was doing some great work with the pitchers here.
Yeah, it's always great to be down here because you get to see a lot of the guys. You know, we got to see Tony Franklin down here. Bobby Mitchell is back in camp coaching the Scranton team, where he'll manage in the regular season.
Right.
And then
Blast from the past, Miguel Cairo.
Miguel Cairo is the new Yankees minor league infield coordinator, so
Yep.
he's been around working with the infielders on their defense. Jody Reed, who is a good guy to get to know if you haven't met him. One of my good friends, Pat McMahon, Pat Osborne, the Tampa Tarpons manager, Julio
Mosquera, our good friend, Staten Island manager last year, got the bump up, will be in Charleston this year. And I don't want to call him out, but I'm gonna. He walked into a poll, and the other coaches saw it and started laughing. And it was just a good moment. He had his glasses on his forehead, and they said, "Julio, you got to wear those. You can't see what's in front of you." So it was a good moment there. But it was good to see him.
Yeah.
Just one of those great guys. And you want to talk about great instructors? One of the best at the catching position.
Yeah, you know, Julio, before he was a manager, was the Yankees roving catching instructor, and just became a real legend there. If you ask Luis Torres with the San Diego Padres or Francisco Cervelli with the Pirates,
right?
They rave reviews about Julio.
And Sanchez.
Yeah, and Sanchez as well.
Gary Sanchez, of course. The forgotten name in this new Yankees lineup.
Yeah.
But making a name, making sure people don't forget him this spring with some of those hits.
Well, I think the media coverage of Judge and Stanton is really going to help Sanchez out.
Definitely.
And especially defensive-wise. I know
Yes.
he's put in a good amount of work, and he's good. I think he's going to do well.
Yes. All right, going back to these questions. Again, they're flying in here. Who do you predict will have a breakout season? It's a good one.
That's a good question.
Yeah. All right, well, you think I'm going to answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with newly transitioned to catcher Donnie Sanz.
Well, not newly. It's been a year and a half.
It's been a year and a half, yeah. But still, he enters his second spring after making his switch to catcher. I had the chance to talk with him 2 days ago. He says that he's feeling really good. He's had some really good at-bats so far this spring. His work at the plate has looked better. When I asked him about his catching, who's been helping him out with the catching and everything, he says, well, it's the Godfather, and he chuckled. He said, of course, I'm talking about Michel Hernandez. So well-known catching instructor with the Yankee system, Michel Hernandez, has been working with him. Someone who is probably, if you follow the system well, Sanz is on your radar, but I think he's really going to make just a huge jump this season and really catch a lot of people's attentions, open a lot of eyes for the higher-ups in the Yankees organization.
Yeah, you know, Sanz has drawn a lot of rave reviews for his ability to take to the position really well.
Yep.
So that wouldn't surprise me for him to have a big breakout year.
I'm glad you approve of my pick. Thank you.
As far as my pick, I'm still kind of thinking.
Okay.
I'll
tell you keep thinking. I'm going to do a plug.
All right, go ahead.
Fans, if you enjoy this podcast and want to hear more like it, don't forget to subscribe to the Pinstriped Prospects Podcast on iTunes and the Google Play Store. And if you really like it and you want to help us out, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. That 5-star rating is really important to us. It's kind of like if you've ever ridden Uber or Lyft, you need that 5-star rating to get better rides and better accessibility. Well, for us, a 5-star rating helps us be more accessible to people searching for baseball podcasts just like this one. So please subscribe, iTunes, Apple, Google Play, 5 stars. Do you have your guy yet?
I think so.
All right. Who do we got?
Underrated breakout year. I'm going Gio Orozco.
Okay, that's a good one.
I got a chance to know
He had
Gio.
a tough season last year.
A
tough stretch, I should say.
He struggled in Charleston, but at 19 years old in the South Atlantic League,
right.
You kind of expect that a little bit. The Yankees sent him down to Pulaski. They reworked some things with him, and he just excelled. They brought him up to Staten Island, and he excelled in Staten Island. So he's likely going to be ticketed to Charleston as a starter, and he's a guy that I think could have a real breakout year.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm glad you took the time to think of that because that was a really good one. Going back to these questions, someone just asked about Sheffield. When can we see Justice Sheffield with the big league club? Well, we already talked about Sheffield, but if you're just joining us, I'll circle back a little bit. I did have the chance to talk with Justice at the minor league camp. He said a few things. of course, I don't want to take all the credit. Me and our very own Amari Brown had the chance to talk with Justice. And a few things that he talked about, he's working on a backdoor slider, and he's been getting instruction from CC Sabathia. He told me that CC is the master of that pitch, so who else to talk to about it? And he said that it's coming along really nicely. So he's working on that backdoor slider. And Omari actually asked him what he got most from a few weeks against pitching with big league competition. And his answer was really candid. He said, I need to learn how to put guys away. He said hitters at that level are just too good. If you don't put guys away, it's going to come back and get you. He talked about how you can get 2 quick first outs, and the next thing you know, you walk a guy, you give up a hit, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble. And what you thought was going to be an easy inning, all of a sudden you're in a jam. So he said he needs to work on that, putting guys away, finishing his pitches, and he was okay with being reassigned. He understands the direction of the club, and he just looked locked in. And he said, I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. And again, another young man with a lot of talent that I think we will see him at the big league levels sometime this season.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he's going to be a very big part of that Yankees rotation in the future years. Important to note that he actually pitched today in camp day. Today was camp day, so there wasn't any minor league games. We were not at the complex today for those, but he did pitch today in the intra-squad games they had. I believe he faced Gary Sanchez, too, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But, he's a guy that I'm happy to see him do well. He started last year hurt, and he kind of struggled a bit during the season with Trenton, but really came back to himself while in the Arizona Fall League.
Yes.
And I think even though he struggled a bit in spring training camp, there's just a lot to like.
Absolutely. Another great question. Why haven't you guys talked about Billy McKinney yet? That is a good question.
He's not in minor league camp.
He's not.
So, but I haven't had a chance to watch him this spring yet. So,
speaking of first base depth, is he an option to stick with the club and be some first base depth?
If I had a choice long term, I'd go McKinney over Austin. But short term, I'd right now go Austin over McKinney.
Okay. So do you see McKinney starting in Scranton then?
Yeah. And you're going to see him play 3 positions.
Okay.
First base, left field, right field.
Yeah. And we talked about that flexibility, that versatility, something that's always a plus within the Yankees organization. And he fits the bill. And again, speaking of the Arizona Fall League, he had a great Arizona Fall League. I think he opened a lot of eyes this year in that league.
Yeah, and not so much with the not only with the offensive side, but with the defensive side. He really took the first base really well, and he worked a lot with Jay Bell, a lot, and he just the ability to take on a new position like that and learn it real quickly was an important thing for him.
Absolutely. So, a lot of great questions, like we talked about. Rob, off the top of your head, anyone we missed?
Anyone we missed?
Or is there a prospect that no one really knows about right now that might jump on the radar soon? See, if this question was before the Stanton trade, I would have said Jorge Guzman, but he's not in the system anymore.
Well, a lot of people were starting to talk about Guzman before the trade, and he was slated to be like a top six prospect in the system, and he's borderline top 100 for a lot of people.
Yes.
I think after that trade, he was immediately like the number 1 or 2 prospect in the Marlins system.
That's right.
And then they traded for some other guys, other top prospects. He got bumped down to like 5 or 6 now.
Yes.
But he's a really good, just an amazing pitcher to watch. And I'm still going to follow his career.
Oh, no
with
question.
The Marlins.
No question.
And I think he's got a chance to be a starter.
Yes. An ace.
Yeah.
An ace, definitely.
He does.
A Josh Beckett type.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And, I'm actually ranking, in my personal rankings, I had Guzman higher than Acevedo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That just shows you how much I really like Guzman, because I'm a huge Acevedo fan myself.
Yes. What about Juan DePollo?
Big fan.
Okay.
Joked around with him the other day, too.
Yes.
He was running around acting as a bat boy. So for those of you that don't know, in minor league spring training, a lot of the pitchers work as bat boys when they're not pitching.
Yes.
Or usually like the day after they pitch, because there's no bat boys in minor league spring training. So he was joking around, a lot of great laughs. He pitched on the road, so we didn't get a chance to see him pitch, but I hope I get to see him pitch while I'm out here. I still got another week out here, so plenty of time.
Yes, definitely. And just think, last year in Staten Island, Juan DePollo, Jorge Guzman, part of that same rotation. A big part why Staten Island just sprinted to that championship series.
Juan DePollo was just something else to watch.
Definitely.
It's amazing how many games he took a no-hitter into the 7th or 8th inning.
Yeah.
And he had part of 2 no-hitters, essentially.
Yes.
2 or 3 no-hitters into the 7th or 8th inning last year. Just one of them, was just one of them ended up being a one-hitter, and that one hit was just a fluke. That could have been ruled an error very easily.
Right.
But
definitely.
He's just an amazing pitcher to watch. He works really well, and he's gonna be a fun guy for those fans in Charleston. Definitely go out to Joseph P. Riley Stadium to check him out. Yes,
that's my guy, by the way, DePollo. DePollo is my prospect that no one's really talking about. That you should definitely keep an eye on.
A good prospect to have. I think at the end of this season he's either going to be traded for more depth, just because there's a lot of people there, or he's going to be moving into that top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean that way.
Yeah.
I think the team likes him, and I think I see him moving in that direction. More so. So mid-season, Yankees need a trade for a starter. Who did they send packing?
And
I think that's our last question.
Who do they send packing?
Yeah.
Part of me would say 6 of those Rule 5 eligible guys. But,
right.
But if I had to put together an actual trade, if I was one of these teams, well, it depends on the team and,
right, that's true. The
and
team
what their needs are.
Yes.
If they need someone that's major league ready, I would throw in Chance Adams along with a Kyle Holder.
Yep.
A few of those guys that I think could really help another team. As much as like I said before, I'm a huge Kyle Holder fan, but I'm not oblivious to see that there's really no place for him with the Yankees.
That's right, there isn't. And not really Yankee news, but in an indirect way sort of is. A lot of fans have been up in arms about why the Yankees won't just sign Alex Cobb. They could get him on the cheap. While all reports right now are indicating that Alex Cobb will be signing with the Orioles on a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I'm not upset that the Yankees are not going to sign Alex Cobb because, one, I don't want to give up the draft pick. I don't want to give up the international free agent money.
Right.
The Yankees are already connected to 2 top international free agents for this coming spending spree, and losing $1 million out of that is no small change, and we need that, and we don't need Cobb, honestly.
Right.
I think we got plenty to trade for pitching mid-year, and I think we have a lot of good pitching prospects coming up the pipeline. So I would not sign him. Another thing that a lot of fans are up in arms about is the rule changes in the minors. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it.
That's right. Yes.
But in
pace of play.
The pace of play.
Yes, pace of play.
Throughout all levels of the minors, they're going to adopt the runner at second in extra innings.
The WBC rule.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that rule. I get it. I understand it. And some of the players I've talked to, we're not big fans of it either.
Right. Cannot stress this enough, though. This isn't, if it starts in the minors, that majors will eventually adopt it. Not true. There are things that just stick in the minor leagues. So don't think that this is step 1 of some 3-step process where it eventually lands at the major league level.
Well, I think the reasoning in the minor leagues is they want to save pitchers.
Yes.
Minor leagues, you got to remember, minor league baseball is less about winning and losing and more about player development.
Yes.
And they don't want to waste all these arms in pitching 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 34-inning games, which has happened in the minor leagues. So they just really want to get the games over with so they could do their extra work. After every game, a lot of players do extra work, and if there's a really long game, they'll skip practice the next day, and they don't want to do that. My thing is, you'll see a lot of what happened in WBC where you bunt the guy over, and now you got a first and third situation, or a guy in third base and 1 out. What's going to happen?
Well, if you're wondering why I just moved my mic, I just got a message here. Your mic is covering the shirt. Move your mic. So that's why I did it. But last question. We have time for one more question. I know I said the last one was the last question, but we just got this. And it must be from one of our younger fans, because I'm just going to read it verbatim. How good do you feel right now about being dissed by Otani?
It's spring training.
Diss. We got dissed by Otani.
So what?
I love it. No, so I actually made a joke about this on my personal Facebook page. And the caption, it was an article talking about how bad his numbers have been so far. And,
It's spring training.
And my caption was, I've never felt so good about being left at the altar. And that was my caption for that article. Yes, I agree. It's spring training. He's a two-way player.
Yeah, so it's a lot harder for a two-way player to get ready. And you also have to remember, he's adjusting to a new way of doing things.
Right.
So.
And it was a sticking point for him that he still wanted to continue to do both.
Yeah.
We know how difficult that can be in the major leagues. If he sticks with one thing, you think he sticks as a pitcher or as a hitter?
I think pitcher.
I agree. I think he's more valuable as a pitcher, and I think he'll need his energy for that. I think that the Angels kind of start to nudge him that way, just to do pitching.
I think what you go see is that he's just going to be spending a lot of time working this first year. You also got to remember he's a minor leaguer.
Yeah.
He's not on the major league roster yet, so
That's right.
You have to be careful.
That's right. That's right.
I would give him some time in the minors just to get him acclimated.
Yeah. I would be surprised if he starts with the Angels. I think he breaks and he starts at AAA.
I honestly probably would start him at AA.
That's bold. And that's why that's the man in charge, because of bold statements like that and predictions.
But, there's a reasoning behind it. He needs to get used to pitching in the United States. He needs to get used to baseball. He needs to get used to how things are here. And, I'm not saying that, he'd be 2 starts in AA, 2 starts in AAA, and, I think that's probably would be how it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
But for all the hype, Japan's Babe Ruth, his numbers, it's going to translate. This is the second coming. And for this to be the opening statement, especially after the news that he's got that tear in his arm or his elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of scratch your head a little bit. It's almost how reliable are these sources coming out for these Japanese players, excuse me.
Well, you also have to remember, scouting is not
perfect science.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's very difficult.
But we are. This Pinstriped Prospects is a perfect science.
Oh, yeah.
And you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're right 100% of the time. Can you sense the sarcasm in my voice?
And that's it. I think that's a good note to end on. That's going to do it for this 47th edition of the Pinstriped Prospects Podcast. Brought to you, of course, by Velocity 5 Sports Restaurant and Bar in Sterling, Virginia. Don't forget, if you have anything you would like to hear discussed on this podcast, feel free to reach out to us at any time. You can contact our managing partner and executive producer, and the man in front of the camera today, Mr. Robert Pimpsner. You can reach Rob at rob@pinstripeprospects.com. Also, don't forget to follow us all over social media. You can find Pinstripe Prospects on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just open the window. You'll probably hear something about Pinstripe Prospects. And we ask that you also please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and the Google Play Store. And if you feel inclined to do so, and we hope you do, please give us that ever-important 5-star rating. And don't forget, it's not new anymore, but definitely check out Pinstripe Prospects and the new player database, information, player bios, videos, photos. It's the bee's knees of prospect information.
Did you just say it's the bee's knees?
It's the bee's knees of prospect information.
You need to update your references.
And it's the cat's pajamas.
Oh my God.
Of prospect information, and it's of the greatest.
Please don't judge us on his
organization.
references.
And it's of the greatest organization in all of sports, the New York Yankees.
Oh, you're such a fan.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna let that do the talking. So, Rob, from Tampa, Florida, thank you for tuning in to this special live edition of the Pinstripe Prospects Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and you tune in next week. Rob, will you be with us next week?
Might be. We'll see what happens.
All right, we'll see what happens. You'll have to tune in to find out.
We are going to have the podcast one day later the next week, though. But
yes.
It's important to note that.
Until then, if you're in the Northeast or the storm is heading for you, please be safe, take care, and we look forward to checking in with you next week.